The Ivy League means extraordinary, a conference that stands alone as the purest form of student athlete. A conference focused to compete nationally and created to inspire globally. It's 8 schools combining Division I athletic excellence and academic prestige, and a community of greatness that inspires lifelong connections and successful leaders of tomorrow. Why not be extraordinary? It's the Ivy League.
Good afternoon, folks. We're coming to you live from the John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Haven, Connecticut. Today, we've got a matchup of 2 top mid-major teams as Vermont comes to town to take on Yale. I'm John Ryan alongside Josh Hess. And Josh, today, it's a Vermont team that's the favorites in America East against a Yale team that's one of the favorites in the Ivy League. It feels like a conference game, but it's only November.
Definitely. This is a Vermont team that John Becker has done really well with over the last few years. They went undefeated 16-0 in conference play last year, 29 wins en route to an NCAA tournament berth. So this will be Yale's first real competitive test here in New Haven.
And Yale today, of course, dealing without star point guard Makai Mason, but recently they've gotten a boost from a freshman, Azar Swain, off the bench.
That's definitely right. Azar Swain has done really well, the freshman from Brockton, Massachusetts. He's averaging 11 points off the bench right now, or averaging the 3rd most points without starting right now. 11 points off the bench against Alcorn, and he's played 100 minutes on the season, just 2 turnovers.
That's big news for the Bulldogs. They've struggled with turnovers this season so far. On the other side, Vermont, reigning America East Player of the Year, Trey Bell-Haynes, back for his senior season. Boy, is he good.
Yeah, the senior from Ontario, Canada, or Toronto, Canada, excuse me, has just been outstanding this season. He was the tournament, all-tournament team down in the Bahamas for Vermont. 16 points per game during that tournament, 13.5 points per game, and 22 assists right now. Lead the team for Vermont. And as you said, the reigning America East Player of the Year.
Well, stay tuned, folks. When we come back, we'll get you the Vermont and Yale starting lineups. You're watching Yale-Vermont basketball on the Ivy League Network and ESPN3.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Life is about moments. If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings.
Do you have that real look in your eye? That when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quade?
See ya!
Right at it, right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it. Leave your mark on this world.
So I hope that in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, we actually have a test for concussions, that we will know when someone is concussed and when they're still suffering the effects of a concussion.
We have a unique opportunity to lead really the world in identifying ways to fix concussion.
Just to really set the gold standard and to be a pioneer for this.
Welcome back to the John J. Lee Amphitheater. John Ryan alongside Josh Hess. And let's bring you today's starting lineups. First, for the Bulldogs in the backcourt, it's Alex Copeland and Trey Fills alongside Miaoni, the Bulldogs' leading scorer. In the front court, it's the junior Blake Reynolds, averaging 11 points a game, and the first-year Paul Atkinson, who's averaging 9 points on 65% shooting. For Vermont, they are led by senior reigning player of the year, Trey Bell Haynes in the America East Conference. Ernie Duncan and Everett Duncan, brothers out of Evansville, Indiana, accompany him in the backcourt. And then down low, it'll be Anthony Lamb, a sophomore out of Rochester, New York, who some media services picked as the preseason America East Player of the Year, and Payton Henson, a senior out of Arkansas. Josh, should be a really fun game. We talked about Trey Bell Haynes already, but let's talk a little bit more about this Vermont team. What do they do well?
Well, Vermont they've done everything well so far over these last 2 seasons. Last year, the team 29 wins, 16-0 to go undefeated in the America East, got that NCAA tournament berth. And right now, they're just stifling opponents on both ends. They did a great job down in the Bahamas in that tournament, beating Bradley, Coastal Carolina, and Northern Kentucky. A couple of buzzer beaters for the senior Trey Bell Haynes as well, too, over those 3 games. So some very competitive games, but they're coming off a home win against Maine Fort Kent, and now this game against Yale starts 2.5 consecutive weeks on the road for the Catamounts, so they're going to have to get used to playing on the road against Vermont.
Bulldogs led by head coach James Jones in his 19th season at the helm, the all-time winningest coach in Yale history and 2-time Ivy League Coach of the Year. There have only been 3 of those, Josh, so he's won 2 of them. And on the other bench, it's John Becker in his 7th season at the helm of Vermont. 2 NCAA tournament appearances in that time, including last year when he won both, his Catamounts won both the regular season and tournament of America East. It'll be a good matchup of 2 very experienced coaches.
Well, last year, or 2 years ago, the Catamounts went 23-14. Last year, 29-6. So a 7.5 improvement rating from 2 years ago to last year, which was tied for the 27th best and 5th best among NCAA tournament teams. So John Becker really does know what he's doing. And last year, these 2 teams went right down to the wire. So this should be another great coaching battle between James Jones and John Becker.
Yeah, they've had a lot of close games in this series. A couple of years ago, I think 2014, Matt Townsend hit a jumper with a couple seconds left to give the Bulldogs the win. And then, of course, last year went down to the final seconds. Ernie Duncan making a layup with a second left to play to give the Catamounts the win in Burlington. Just about to get things underway here at JLA. Should be a fun one, folks. Yale, after a slow start to the season, Josh, has looked better the last couple of games. Of course, they lost to Creighton in Wisconsin the opening weekend, but coming off of a nice win over Alcorn State.
Oh, definitely, and Creighton and Wisconsin, no easy teams to play as your first 2 regular season games. So to get almost a gimme against the 2 home games, South Carolina State and Curry, then venture down south to Alcorn State. A couple of good games right before this very tough Vermont game, probably the toughest non-conference home game that Yale will have to play.
Definitely true, and players taking the court. It'll be Atkinson and Anthony Lamb at center court to tip this one off. Here we go. Trey Fills rips it away from Trey Bell Haynes, and we're underway in New Haven. Bulldogs, of course, playing without Makai Mason, who's out for at least another couple of weeks. Copeland, I think, getting the start in his absence. Ball knocked out of bounds. It'll stay at this end off of Ernie Duncan. Jordan Bruner also lost for the season with a torn meniscus. And so Paul Atkinson earning a place in the front court as the Bulldogs playing without the sophomore Bruner, who brings so much defensively. Fills on the wing. Yale 4 seconds on the shot clock. Copeland tosses it up, didn't get the rim, and it'll be Vermont basketball, shot clock violation.
Well, John, I think one major stat to look at this game is steals and turnovers. Last year against Vermont, Yale had 18 turnovers to just 6 steals. Vermont 12 turnovers and 10 steals against the Bulldogs.
Trey Bell-Haynes likes to get to the rim, kicks it out. Duncans pass it to one another, comes now to Henson in the corner with Trey Bell-Haynes guarded by Trey Fills, the Bulldogs' best perimeter defender, and Bell-Haynes with a nice floater over the Bulldogs junior. Yale has really struggled to get good looks inside the arc this season, taking nearly 50% of their field goal attempts from beyond the three-point line. Fills, Oni, back to Fills. 8 seconds on the shot clock, working again down late into the shot clock. Reynolds underneath.
Great pass there to Reynolds where only he could get it. Went inside the basket, made a little spin move, and an easy layup.
Ernie Duncan fires from deep, misses. Copeland skies for the rebound. Look to see if the Bulldogs can get Atkinson some touches down low. He's been really efficient so far this season as Fills hoists up a three, misses. Atkinson shooting 65% from the field. Had a nice game against Alcorn State, 13 points on 3 of 3 shooting from the field, 7 of 8 from the line. Ball knocked loose off the foot of Bell-Haynes. He dives on the floor for it, and now Vermont have numbers. Going to the hoop, it's Lamb, lays it in.
Up and under, and as you said, Vermont just had numbers there. Yale decides to slow it down with Mieoni.
Trey Fills. The switch, now it's Oni on the wing. Copeland to the line, fakes one way, back out to Oni for 3. Hits. That's a big shot for Mieoni. He's been struggling with his shots so far this season, shooting only 36% from the field and 24% from beyond the arc.
He had a game-high 19 points when these two teams met a year ago to go along with 8 rebounds.
Bell-Haynes on the baseline, and timeout called early in this one. 17:05 left to go. Yale leading Vermont 5-4. A 30-second timeout. Josh, what are your, let's go back to, we were talking a little bit about what Vermont does well. What are your keys to the game for the Bulldogs?
Well, the Bulldogs have to slow down the pace. We saw that after Vermont had numbers and got the easy layup under the hoop. Mieoni just walked it up rather than trying to push. And I think that Yale needs to work inside. Like you said, they've been struggling to get the ball inside the arc, but they can't settle for threes. Mieoni shooting under 25% on the season from downtown, and he's the Bulldogs' leading scorer, so he has to set the tone for Yale, work inside, and that'll open up the outside shot for Yale.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It'll be interesting to see if Yale can get him looks going to the rim, maybe off the ball. Obviously hitting the three, good for the confidence to start things, but to your point, going to have to find ways to get him the ball in traffic around the rim. It's Ernie Duncan to inbounds. Duncan takes, and now going to the hole. Henson kicks it out. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Trey Bell-Haynes to the line, looking for Henson underneath. Henson short. Fills to Reynolds. That's around with Oni. Oni pulls up. Tough shot, hits.
Well, he started outside, and now he works inside. The next thing we want to see from Oni, if he can take it strong to the cup, that'll really throw Vermont off balance.
James Jones, before the season, talking about Oni's scoring ability. We know he hasn't shot well as Bell-Haynes misses, Reynolds rebounds. Said, though, he wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Mieoni scored. Copeland fouled. Could score 35 or 40 points this season. He could score in so many different ways. We've seen a shot from deep and a shot in the mid-range. And it's been tough sledding for him so far this season, but boy, when he gets going, can he really put up some numbers.
And college basketball pundits as well as NBA players have noticed his scoring ability. We talked about the NBA skills camp that he attended, and NBA stars were there as well to just point out how he can score in so many ways.
Copeland looking for Atkinson. Atkinson fouled. That foul will be charged to Drew Urquhart, who's checked into the game. Urquhart, a senior out of Vancouver, 6'8", 220 pounds. Has been a nice scoring presence off the bench for the Catamounts. 10 points a game this season. Atkinson misses the first.
Well, fouls were also an issue last year between both of these teams. Vermont committed 19, Yale 20, and Urquhart, who committed that one, had 4 fouls in the game.
Atkinson knocks down the second. Bulldogs with a 4-point lead about 4 minutes into the game. Ernie Duncan to Bell Haynes. Bell Haynes really good at going to the basket. Trey Fills has a tough matchup today. Lamb's shot short. Oni ahead it to Fills. Fills. Good ball movement. Copeland at the free throw line. Short. And it's Everett Duncan, the sophomore.
Tough break there for Yale as the outlet pass collapsed the defense to the far sideline, and they had open looks on the near side, but just couldn't get the roll.
Bell Haynes, good ball movement underneath. Urquhart lays it in. Some pretty passing by Vermont. Copeland coming off the screen, going to the hoop, scoops, misses, ball loose, out of bounds. It'll stay with the Bulldogs. Timeout on the floor, Yale leading Vermont 8-6. Miaoni, the game's leading scorer, with 5 points.
So I hope that in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, we actually have a test for concussions, that we will know when someone is concussed and when they're still suffering the effects of a concussion.
We have a unique opportunity to lead really the world in identifying ways to fix concussion.
Just to really set the gold standard and to be a pioneer for this.
The running of the Bulldogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico.
I wasn't born fast. It's taken 27 years of sore muscles, bruised knees, and a few close shaves. Speed is my mindset, my drive, my determination, the one goal I never stop chasing. There's awesome inside everyone, but it's up to you to unleash it.
Yale leading Vermont 8-6 at the first media timeout in New Haven. And Miaoni, Josh, has gotten off to a nice start.
Well, he can score inside and out. He's leading the Yale team with nearly 14 points per game as we take a look at the deep three that he hit to really get the game going. And it looks like Oni, with 5 points already, will overcome his season average so far.
Kick to the corner, Oni again. A little long on that one. Lamb, good rebound. Bell Haynes. Such good control of the ball, really can go into traffic. Oni comes up with the steal, here he comes.
Big dunk there from Oni to get the crowd into it, cocked the ball back and slammed it home. That'll fire up the team any day.
Ernie Duncan coming off the Urquhart screen, some space, fouled, and he'll go to the line. I think that'll be on Paul Atkinson. His first, Yale's first foul.
Yeah, that's pretty good to go over 5.5 minutes for the Bulldogs without committing a foul so far. Good discipline on the defensive side, and obviously Yale very aggressive with the ball offensively.
Ben Shungu, a freshman out of Burlington, is checked in to the game for Vermont. Atkinson will leave and be replaced by Noah Yates. Yates, a senior walk-on, has had an outstanding season so far. 9 points a game, 5 rebounds, shooting 46% from beyond the arc, 53% from the floor. Steph Smith checks in for Vermont. And Catamounts going to show a full court look. Not too much pressure, but makes the Bulldogs think about something else.
Yeah, just a little harder to get your offensive scheme set.
Copeland. Vermont switching everything. Yates. Here's Phils. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Copeland nearly lost it, and it is taken away. That's Steph Smith. Smith to the hole and fouled by Copeland. We've seen that a couple times so far today, Josh. Vermont making things really difficult on the Bulldogs and forcing them to run down the shot clock.
And Vermont is not a big team when it comes to steals. They've only recorded 15 steals on the season, so I think it's just the aggressive press that's forcing Yale into mistakes. And let's not forget, John, that this Vermont team has already had a pretty tough road. They went down to Kentucky and took the Wildcats all the way down to the wire. John Calipari, one of the best coaches in the history of college basketball, had only praise for the Catamounts after the game, wondering who scheduled the game as the season opener. It was so much harder than he thought it was going to be.
And you know, it's funny to hear him say that. I think it's not a really surprise. Vermont has been good the last couple of seasons, of course. Made the tournament last year, nearly won in the first round as well. Azar Swain and Eric Monroe have entered. It's Monroe with the ball now. Back out to Oni. Oni looking for Swain in the corner. Now it's Reynolds. Reynolds. Nowhere to go, out to Monroe. Yates, 5 seconds on the shot clock, nearly lost it. Swain's got to hoist it up. Gets it away off the rim. Rebound, Shungu.
That was great ball movement and just even better recovery from Vermont on the defensive end.
It's Henson. Henson backing down. Yates definitely has the size advantage, and there's the whistle that will send Henson to the line.
Working inside the restricted area there, so Yale went a few minutes without one foul in general, and now they're already up to 3.
Henson, 6'8", 215 pounds, big size advantage over Noah Yates.
Almost a position that Yale hasn't been in at home, being at a size disadvantage against Curry and South Carolina State. Yale could put their guards down low and still be bigger than the opponent.
But I think it's something that'll be interesting to watch as the season goes on, Josh. I mean, one of the biggest consequences of Jordan Bruner's absence is that who is going to be the first big off the bench. So far this season, it's been Noah Yates. And James Jones, we know he likes to play with 2 traditional big men. Forced to do something different this season, and it'll be interesting to see how his team adjusts. Oni going to the hoop, fouled. Like to see that from Mie Oni. Not content just to take the 3-point shot, getting to the rim, making things happen. Oni at the line. This season, he's been an 84% shooter from the stripe. Misses the first. Samuel Dingba checks into the game. Urquhart leaves. Oni, 8 points. Yale has the 2-point lead. Steph Smith gives it to Henson. Dingba back out to Henson. 3 on the way, and it's good.
That's now the 6th different Catamount to score for Vermont, and on the Yale side, just 3 have scored. Mie Oni leading the team with 8, and that's also the game high.
Vermont Goes to Yates in the corner. His three misses everything. Vermont pushing it the other way. Nearly lost by Smith. Cam Ward is into the game. Senior out of Wisconsin. Ward, a former sixth man of the year in America East. It's Shungu into the lane. Out to Henson. And a foul. That'll go against Blake Reynolds. And it's another timeout on the floor. Vermont have come storming back. They lead the Bulldogs 12-11, 11:59 left to go in the first half.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Life is about moments. If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings.
Do you have that real look in your eye that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quade?
See ya!
Right at it, right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it. Leave your mark on this world.
Vermont 12, Yale 11. You're watching basketball on the Ivy League Network and ESPN3. Vermont to inbounds. It's Smith looking for someone. Underneath, gets it to Henson. Henson fouled by Atkinson. Not a smart foul by the freshman, as that'll be his second, and he'll go to the bench.
Tough break there for Atkinson. Nearly straight up and down, was a little bit crooked and also down there in the restricted area. But this has been a great team effort for the Catamounts so far, John. 6 different players have at least 1 rebound. In fact, 6 total rebounds, 6 different players there, where on the Yale side, they're more focusing on Mieoni so far with the game-high 8 points, leading the team and game with 2 rebounds.
Atkinson has to leave with 2 fouls. Wyatt, yes, first year out of St. Louis, is into the game. Henson has 5 points today. Monroe and Swain getting an extended run here in the first half. Oni going to the hoop, kicks it out to Swain for 3. A little long, and Vermont so far has been really good on the defensive glass. Lane to the hoop. Yates comes in from behind to swat that one away. It was Everett Duncan who had the opportunity, but Yates, good help defense, and it'll be Bulldogs basketball.
I think one thing that Coach James Jones for Yale needs to address at halftime is the fact that 4 green jerseys were under the hoop after Swain's missed 3-pointer. Yale has to do a better job trying to box out and get those second chance points.
Swain to Wyatt, yes. Not afraid to shoot the 3. Monroe will take it, though, off the mark. Smith through traffic, taken away by Yates. Oni behind the back to Monroe. Misses, Yates follows.
Fires up the whole arena once again. You just see the passion on Yates' face as he gives Oni a big high five.
What a pass by Oni. The confidence to make that pass, not something you see every day.
Right, not only can he score in 4 or 5 different ways, he can pass in multiple ways.
Henson over, yes, misses, second chance. And it'll be Vermont off of yes last. Trey Bell Haynes and Anthony Lamb will come back into the ball game along with Ernie Duncan. Trey Fills to come in for Mieoni.
Now without Oni on the floor, I'd love to see how Azar Swain plays, as looks like he'll run the point for Yale and kind of control the offense.
Ernie Duncan hit the game-winning layup last season to give Vermont the win over Yale. Has the ball now. Duncan into the lane, up over Monroe, misses.
I think that pass and follow-up jam for Yale fired up the whole team on the defensive end, as well as they looked really good on that last defensive possession.
Swain to Fills, 15 seconds on the shot clock. It's been tough work for Yale offensively. Yates left with some space. You can't leave him that. He's shooting 46% from beyond the arc this year. Bell Haynes to the corner. Defense does well to reset. Now it's Lamb. Lamb going right at Wyatt, yes. And that's tough to stop. Anthony Lamb, only a sophomore, but a really physical presence. And it'll be a tough matchup for whoever has him. It's Wyatt, yes, right now.
And yes, had a little bit of a size disadvantage as well. Just a little timid as a freshman, but he'll work out of that.
Monroe underneath to yes, offensive foul. Yes, pushed off to create some space. Henson back into the game. Despite the foul, Josh, that's something I think the Bulldogs need to look for more of, see if they can get ways for Yes or Atkinson or whoever it is down low to get some looks around the rim. Officials won't call that every time.
No, you're exactly right, John. And last time Wyatt Yes touched the ball, he drove in, kicked out. Yale missed the three, and this time tried to take the shot, but unfortunately got whistled.
Payton Henson flies in for a good offensive rebound and then fouled by Yates. That's Yates' second. And so the Yale bigs in all sorts of foul trouble. Atkinson already on the bench with 2 fouls. Yates about to join him. Reynolds at the scorer's table to check in.
Yale needs to be careful here in these last 8+ minutes, as they've committed roughly 7 fouls in 7 minutes.
Yeah, Vermont now in the bonus. And you're exactly right, Josh. A lot of time left to play, and Vermont going to be shooting free throws the rest of the first half. Fills. Yes to Monroe. Fills looking for yes. Yes, double teamed, fouled. On the floor, though, I think. And so it won't be free throws for Wyatt, yes.
That's a tough call there. Didn't look like Yes put the ball on the floor as we take another look at it. No, he was going up the whole way. He never made a move to dribble the ball. So,
yeah, and they will give him the free throws. Take that back.
First official, though, pointed at the floor.
Yes, hits the first. Copeland back into the game for the Bulldogs. Shungu has checked in for Vermont. Yes, misses the second. Fills looking for the offensive rebound. Good effort. Got up high there, but unable to corral it.
That's the hustle you love to see as a coach, and a play there by Trey Fills that says to Coach Jones, hey, if you need hustle at the end of the game, I'm your guy.
It'll go back to the Bell Haynes-Fills matchup. Trey Fills, the Bulldogs' best perimeter defender. Lamb underneath, good spin move, misses though. And a foul on Vermont. It'll be Bulldogs basketball. That goes against the freshman Shungu. His second. John Becker will leave him in the game to play with 2 fouls. Again, Vermont showing some full court pressure. Copeland into the offense. Lamb switches on to him, looking for Yes. Yes has the mismatch against Bell Haynes over the top.
And I think Yes knew he had the mismatch there. He turned around once he got the ball, and then a little fadeaway. No contest at all.
And with Vermont, how much Vermont's been switching, those are the types of looks that Yale has to get. There was Wyatt Yes against the much smaller Bell Haynes, but the Bulldogs will have additional opportunities to do that.
Great.
Yale leading Vermont 19-18, less than 8 minutes to play in the first half.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it. What incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
Visit the Shops at Yale in historic downtown New Haven, where shopping is a personal pleasure and your favorite brands are easy to find. Where award-winning restaurants are around every corner and parking is always easy. Join visitors from all over the region and explore more than 60 shops and restaurants, plus world-renowned museums, galleries, and theaters. For more information, visit theshopsatyale.com.
We're back here in New Haven, Yale leading Vermont 19-18. Josh, we thought it would be a close game coming into this one. So far, it's been exactly that.
It's a one-point game on the scoreboard, and when you look at some of the stats, just identical points in the paint, 8 apiece right now. Total rebounds, Vermont 11, Yale 10, turnovers 2 apiece. So a very fair game offensively and defensively.
Trey Bell Haynes at the free throw line. He struggled from the stripe this season, shooting only 50%, and that's a fair number of attempts. I think 11 of 22 coming into the game. He'll shoot the 1-and-1. Big first free throw made. That'll tie up the game.
And John, one number that'll be key here going down to the end of the first half and the entire second half is the three-point percentage. Vermont has just taken 2, Yale 2 of 8.
Fills to Copeland. Yale's starters except Atkinson in the game. It's Wyatt Yes who's in for Atkinson. Atkinson picked up 2 early fouls. Copeland, little crossover, goes back to the right and fouled by Bell Haynes. Got him on the elbow. That's his first, and Copeland will go to the line.
Now, Copeland knew he had Bell Haynes on skates there and just went up to do a pass here. Great move with a couple of crossovers. Bell Haynes just couldn't get set on defense, as looked inside for Wyatt Yes, but a great job by Copeland there.
Copeland hits his first point of the game.
Miaoni there, not on your screen, as he's back talking with Coach Jones during these free throws. And with 7.5 to play, he was out for a while in the middle of this first half. I think he'll play at least 5 or 6 of these final minutes.
Ernie Duncan with the ball for Vermont. I think the starters accept Everett Duncan in the game. Shungu playing for the Catamounts. Underneath, Lamb over the top. He's been really tough to control. Had a great game against the Bulldogs last season and creating all sorts of opportunities so far today. Reynolds to Fills. Fills looking for Reynolds. Reynolds on the baseline. Back out to Oni. Hits, shot made That was a really tough one. Bell Haynes was there to contest.
Well, another three there for Mieoni as he continues to score in different ways, but it looks like he likes that side of the court today.
Lamb, see if he goes right back at Reynolds again. He gives it up to Bell Haynes. Henson against Yes. Kicks it out, Shungu. Going right at Copeland. Offensive foul.
Great job to pick up the charge here, Wyatt. Yes, Jess got the feet set in time. And a good job drawing the turnover.
Yes leaves the game to an ovation. Noah Yates, playing with 2 fouls, has come back in.
There have been a few plays so far, John, that have just fired up the Yale sideline. The 2 dunks, of course, and anytime you can draw a charge like that, it's great to see, especially in a 2-point game.
Oni to Reynolds. Offensive foul called Blake Reynolds for a hook. And that's a big foul because it's Reynolds' second. 9th team foul, and now 3 Yale bigs playing with 2 fouls, including both on the floor, Noah Yates and Blake Reynolds, and James Jones, recognizing that, will drop his defense into his zone. Try to avoid having Yates or Reynolds pick up their 3rd. Bell Haynes into the lane, kicks it out. Henson for 3. A little bit short. Yale pushing it. Phil's going right at his defender. Offensive foul. Didn't really have control. You could see his handle was a little bit loose. And it was a good play by the Vermont defense, who got back quickly.
Yeah, also extended the forearm there is what pushed over the Vermont defender. And we talked about at the top, John, it was going to be a coaching battle. And right now, with all that foul trouble Yale is dealing with, it is how can James Jones defend and what can John Becker do to attack and continue to draw fouls and really put the pressure on the Yale defense.
Yeah, that was Phil's second. Reynolds knocks it away. Copeland comes up with it. Bulldogs have numbers 5 on 3. Oni going to the rim. Offensive foul again. Great defense by Ernie Duncan. He got right in the way. Oni not very happy with the call.
Well, that time it was just the defender got set. Oni didn't release the ball in time. His momentum just carried him too far. Had some words for the official, but Noah Yates got right in there, took away Mieoni, and now it's James Jones giving the official some words.
Bulldogs 2-point lead in the zone again. Trey Bell Haynes gets into the middle of it, tosses what looked like an alley-oop intended for Henson, instead goes to Urquhart. Underneath, Lamb throws it down. Lamb left all alone in the middle of the lane, breakdown defensively. And it's a tie game. Copeland going to the rim with a little English.
Yeah, that was the best offensive set we've seen from Yale in a while, and one of the very few times they didn't work the ball around. It was just one player, he knew what he wanted to do, and it resulted in 2.
Bell Haynes at the free throw line. Henson kicks it out. Duncan for 3. Misses. Swain rebounds. And it's Oni. Oni the other way back out to Copeland. As the Bulldogs didn't quite have numbers. Copeland hoists a 3. Misses.
No, but that was a great job there by Oni. He realized he didn't want to draw another offensive foul, slowed down the ball, passed it outside. Just an unfortunate miss for the Bulldogs.
Bell Haynes in the corner. Henson looks for Urquhart in the short corner. 6 seconds on the shot clock. John Becker urging his team on. Henson's 3, good.
Well, Vermont went over 10 minutes with only attempting 2 threes, and now they've attempted 3 in the last few minutes, and success there.
Reynolds to Oni. He'll try another 3. It's that kind of day for Mieoni.
That near corner has been good to him with a couple of 3s. Now hit a baseline jumper as well.
14 points for Oni. Lamb, though, at the other end, answers.
Well, Oni's got a chance to hit his 19 from last year in this first half if he continues to stay in the game and run the offense for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, an efficient 14 points as well. 5 of 6 shooting from the floor. Copeland making the defender work. Oni, he's gonna go again. Misses, Yates follows. Couldn't get it to go, Lamb there to prevent another second chance look.
That was a heat check 3 for Oni, and just unfortunate that Yale couldn't get another big offensive rebound, an impossible slam.
Vermont working against the zone again. Belhane's 3 misses short. Copeland, 2-on-2, takes it himself.
Great change of directions in midair for Copeland.
Yale 2-point lead, 2:40 to play in the first half. Belhanes. And it's Lamb right up over Mieoni, misses. Yates tips it away, and the Bulldogs push it down the other end. Swain, 3 in transition. Timeout, Vermont. 2:22 left to play. Bulldogs up 34-29 in New Haven.
When you're done at any Ivy League, you have so many opportunities waiting for you.
It's rewarding after these 4 years that you're going to have such a great job and these connections that you've made at all of these schools, and it's awesome. All around, it's awesome.
If you want the best combination of academics and athletics, Ivy League's your only choice. Only choice.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Just the guys that you get to meet, the opportunities that you have, meeting the kids on your team and meeting the faculty and the alumni that come back and support your team. Is just being a part of a tradition that's bigger than yourself.
You could look at it as like a ton of work, or you could look at it as like, I'm going to be a great person when I'm there. I'm going to be a great person when I'm done.
Yale up by 5, their largest lead of the game. It's been a back and forth contest, Josh.
Well, we talked about the stats, John, after the last time out, and things have stayed pretty much the same. Yale now shooting 50% from the field, Vermont at 41%. So these teams have really picked up the scoring the last few minutes. I'm sure it'll be a high-scoring end to the half as well.
Wyatt Yes has come in for Blake Reynolds. Yale in the zone again. Belhanes, Henson, back to Belhanes. Underneath, good pass to Urquhart. I think it was Yates who went out for the steal, and that left Urquhart with an easy finish.
And I really do expect Vermont to try to pound the rock down low now with all the Yale foul trouble. The bigs in the middle won't be as aggressive.
Yeah, James Jones trying to make it tough on them to do that by dropping into the zone. Yes, misses the mid-range J. But Vermont clearly, that's what they're looking to do. Both Urquhart and Henson in the game. They have the personnel to do it. Skylar Nash, number 1, has come into the game for the first time. Belhanes left alone. Passes up the 3, gives it to Nash. Nash's 3 on the way. Tie ball game.
Well, what the Bulldogs need to start doing in that zone is get their hands up. Playing zone defense is all about length. And right now, the guys near the ball have their hands up, but everybody else needs to be active and alert.
Copeland, minute left to go in the first half. Looking for Yes. Yes, working against a much smaller Belhanes. Ball knocked away. It'll stay with the Bulldogs. 12 seconds on the shot clock. And James Jones wants a timeout. He'll get it. That's the use it or lose it timeout for the Bulldogs. And we've seen some different personnel in this game, Josh. Of course, Paul Atkinson has sat on the bench for most of the first half. Both Noah Yates and Blake Reynolds played with 2 fouls. And so Wyatt Yes has gotten an extended run.
And that's good experience for him as a freshman. This is a non-conference game, but we mentioned this is possibly tougher than a conference game. Some of the conference games Yale will have to play. Vermont went undefeated last year in America East, 29 wins en route to an NCAA tournament berth. So for Wyatt, yes, as a freshman, to get this kind of experience against a Vermont team that plays big, they play strong, and a great team rebounding squad, not my words, John Calipari's words, good experience for him down low to work on his box out and have that confidence going into conference play.
Bulldogs back on the floor. Azar Swain to inbound, joined by Yates, Oni, Copeland, and Yes. Swain from the corner, just a little bit long. Lamb, or excuse me, that was Nash with a strong rebound. Bell Haynes. Vermont, will they go for the 2-for-1? They will. Duncan's three, good. About a 3-second, 4-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
Look for Oni to try to get to the ball on an off-ball screen. He's at the top left corner.
Copeland takes it himself, tough shot. But that's Alex Copeland's game. He's so good from the mid-range, hits there. Vermont, 5 seconds on the shot clock. Henson, travel. And so Yale will get a look with just under 4 seconds left.
And what a huge break there for the Bulldogs. Now I expect Mie Oni to get the ball.
Yeah, it'll actually be Oni to inbound. No, it'll be Wyatt Yes who comes over. So look for either Oni or Copeland. And it will be Oni. Oni, 3 seconds left. Oni, tough three. That'll be short. And so at the half, Vermont leading Yale 37-36. It's been a great ball game. Oni leading the Bulldogs with 14 points. Anthony Lamb and Payton Henson have 10 each for Vermont. We'll be back in a bit.
When I was a senior in high school applying to Yale, I didn't think there was much of a connection between an Ivy League university like Yale, for example, and the U.S. military.
The ROTC, which stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps, is a commissioning pipeline to the United States military. ROTC actually started at Yale in the 1920s. We want the same things, we have the same ideals, and that's specifically to build men and women of exemplary character for service, to be parts of organizations and make contributions greater than themselves.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
I wasn't born fast. It's taken 27 years of sore muscles, bruised knees, and a few close shaves. Speed is my mindset, my drive, my determination, the one goal I never stop chasing. There's awesome inside everyone, but it's up to you to unleash it.
The running of the Bulldogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico.
Tight contest here at the John J. Lee Amphitheater. Vermont leading Yale 37-36. Coming up, they've got a feature on one of the newest student groups on Yale's campus. It's the Unorthodox a cappella for athletes.
When I was a senior in high school applying to Yale.
Hello, this is Inside Yale Athletics, sponsored by Under Armour. I'm Noah Finns. There are so many great old traditions involving Yale athletics, but one of the newer ones involves a big group of athletes who, when they're not playing their respective sport, like to sing. And they're pretty good.
Is Kamzi Wangu making his Yale debut today.
I knew right then you were the one.
Another shot, and there is a goal. And who else but Carol Nadeau?
But to my satisfaction,
Henson on an absolute rocket from the point.
I feel like sometimes I sing too much and my team and they're like, ah, Franny, like, but then they really get behind me with this, and you get to come here twice a week and just belt it out with a bunch of other people who love singing, and it's such a cool outlet.
They call themselves the Unorthodox, Yale athletes who are also talented singers.
A lot of us actually have tried out for like actual a cappella groups, and we kind of all got the same answer, which was that, like, as you know, it's you know, the time commitment of like a sport in some cases, and so basically they were just like, you know, I don't think this would be the best idea, and like we want to pick someone who's going to be more committed, which was a huge bummer because all of us love singing.
And so just 3 years ago, they formed this singing group. It started small, but it's quickly growing.
And now it's cool and everyone wants to be in it, and so many people have contacted us being like, oh my gosh, like I want to sing with you guys. I just love what you stand for, and like kind of you guys look like you have so much fun up there.
This year there are 18 Unorthodox, just them, no coaches. Practices 2 days a week, but due to demanding athletic and academic schedules, they understand when practices are missed. In fact, sometimes their get-togethers are a place for commiserating.
You can complain to each other about being sore from lift, or you know, being tired, or coach.
And everyone can relate.
No one in this group is unfamiliar with 2-hour practices.
Yeah.
Right? So like when we have to buckle down and get some work done, it's not new to anyone. I mean, this is something that we all do in our daily lives. So it definitely helps to have this sort of athletic background, this mentality that can help us, you know, when we're doing music as well.
Especially leading up to what they hope becomes an annual concert.
We'll be sure that the ladies just like you.
Last year, they performed in front of 700 people, many of whom their teammates there to show support.
That was the coolest thing, is like seeing everyone get up and have their little, you know, time to shine, and like hearing their teammates cheer for them in the audience. Like I remember Carol, her team had signs and like and what Kamzi, and Kamzi, like
Kamzi started talking out for a solo. Kamzi! like an entire chunk of the football team.
You'd think as athletes, performing in front of large audiences would be a breeze. Well, that's not the case.
It's a different kind of stress and a different kind of nervousness.
I don't really get nervous like on a football field, but like when I'm singing, I'm like,
I mean,
our competitions,
I
like
pre-race jitters, but it's a completely different.
They're different jitters, though. You know, yeah.
Like pre-race jitters is like, okay, let's go do this, whereas pre-performance jitters is like, why am I trembling?
The Unorthodox are just 3 years old and already landing singing gigs. All of the athletes say this is a great release for them, almost like therapy. But it's also a good opportunity to showcase their talents, their other talent.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it. what incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
Just the guys that you get to meet, the opportunities that you have, meeting the kids on your team and meeting the faculty and the alumni that come back and support your team. It's just being a part of a tradition that's bigger than yourself.
You could look at it as like a ton of work, or you could look at it as like, I'm going to be a great person when I'm there. I'm going to be a great person when I'm done.
We first started doing Young Comer Market because we knew that our students were able to get these amazing fruits and vegetables, and we said, how can we get this out to the rest of the community?
You don't need to be super wealthy in order to have access to these type of products. We wanted actually to break even and just have democratized the concept of access to quality produce.
Welcome back to Yale Vermont basketball on the Ivy League Network. At the half, Vermont leading Yale 37-36. Highlights and stats when we come back.
When you're done at any Ivy League, you have so many opportunities waiting for you.
It's rewarding after these 4 years that you're going to have such a great job and these connections that you've made at all of these schools, and it's awesome. All around, it's awesome.
If you want the best combination of academics and athletics, Ivy League's your only choice. Only choice.
Life is about moments. If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings.
Do you have that real look in your eye? That when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quaid?
See ya!
Right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it. Leave your mark on this world.
4 weekends of every fall, we take about 100 kids, put them on 2 buses, and we take them to 2 farms.
Our students, they have an ability to communicate and talk to the farmers firsthand.
I want them to think about agriculture as something more personal.
Anytime we could do any of these things that helps them think more about sustainability, it's really important to us.
When you're done at any Ivy League, you have so many opportunities.
Welcome back to coverage on the Ivy League Network and ESPN3. Vermont leading Yale 37-36 at the half. I'm John Ryan alongside Josh Hess. And Josh, we thought it would be a good, close first half, and that's what we got.
Oh, I mean, to say the least, the score is only a 2-point game. So to look at the stats as well and some of the highlights, you'll just see that this game has been back and forth the entire time. Miaoni right now the leading scorer with 14 points. 2 Vermont players in double figures as well.
Highlights coming up here. Let's take a look at the first half. And, Yale defensively have been some struggles this season. Vermont got good looks on the interior, but at the other end, Bulldogs making shots, and it starts with Miaoni.
Miaoni doing it on both ends for the Bulldogs, defensively and offensively. Hit some big threes there. The big jam in transition for Yale, but Vermont stayed in it with some late threes near the end of the half, and also some big offensive fouls as well. Here we see a great look by Miaoni. No layup, but a huge putback slam, and that fired up the entire bench, John, and really carried some momentum for a few minutes for the Bulldogs.
Our key players coming into this game, Josh: Trey Bell-Haynes, first half 4 points, 3 assists, a rebound, and Azar Swain 3 points off the bench. A little bit quiet for both guys.
Yeah, but there's still 20 minutes to play, and Trey Bell-Haynes, the reigning America East Player of the Year, has been really good for Vermont, played incredibly well down in the Bahamas as well. And as we take a look at some of these first half stats, the score is only, the score is very close, 1 point game, but the numbers really tell that story except for the 3-point percentage.
And so when we come back, it'll be second half of Yale Vermont here in New Haven. Once again at the half, Vermont leading Yale by 1.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it. What incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
So I hope that in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, we actually have a test for concussions, that we will know when someone is concussed and when they're still suffering the effects of a concussion.
We have a unique opportunity to lead really the world in identifying ways to fix concussion.
Just to really set the gold standard and to be a pioneer for this.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Things about to get underway here in New Haven. Second half coming up. Vermont leading Yale 37-36. Vermont, the starters, back into the ball game. It's Trey Bell-Haynes, Anthony Lamb, Ernie Duncan, his brother Everett Duncan, and Payton Henson. For the Bulldogs, it's Alex Copeland, Trey Fills, Mie Oni, Paul Atkinson, and Blake Reynolds. Close first half, Josh. Really looking forward to the second half. Watch, though, for foul trouble. Bulldogs definitely struggled with it in the first half. Blake Reynolds, Paul Atkinson, and Noah Yates all picked up 2 fouls.
Yeah, 11.
And Trey Fills, excuse me, as well.
11 fouls for the Bulldogs in that first half compared to just 7 for Vermont. And last year when these two teams met, Yale had 20 fouls in that game. So definitely a storyline that has been continuing from last year.
Ernie Duncan in the corner. Gives it to Lamb. Lamb going right at Blake Reynolds. Spins and hits.
Well, you mentioned that Ernie and Everett Duncan on the floor right now for Vermont. They're one of 30 sets of brothers playing at the same school this year, which is a much bigger number than I would have imagined. And as we learned pregame, 8 of these Catamounts live together in the same house. So their team chemistry is top of the list.
Atkinson gives it to Fills. Back to Atkinson underneath. Stripped, though, by Bell-Haynes. Bell-Haynes so quick, pushing the pace. Kicks it out. Three-pointer on the way. Everett misses. Lamb, though, with the rebound. Bell-Haynes back to Everett Duncan again. This time he hits.
Yeah, but first you don't succeed. Try again.
Biggest lead of the game for either team. Vermont up by 6. Key possession here. Yale needs to halt the momentum. Oni lines one up, misses. Bell-Haynes going to the hoop, left-handed, misses. Lamb, another offensive rebound. Three-pointer this time off the mark, but the Catamounts have killed the Bulldogs on the offensive glass to start the second half.
It's just a lack of aggression for Yale and not positioning themselves correctly under the basket.
Phils takes it himself, looking for Atkinson, but throws it out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm surprised how shaky Yale looks over these first 2 minutes of the second half. They really came out and played poised in the first 20 minutes.
Bell Haynes, picked up by Phils. Takes it himself, gets into the lane again. Lamb underneath, left hand misses. Lamb, another offensive rebound. Oni got his hand on it. The second attempt off the mark. But it's been too easy so far for Vermont to get looks under the basket.
And even with the starting Yale bigs back in the ball game, I'm surprised this isn't what Vermont was doing at the end of the first half more.
Reynolds double teamed, and Vermont take it away. Ernie Duncan, guarded by Copeland. Bell Haynes alone in the corner. Pass over the top to Henson. His three-pointer misses. Really good looks offensively for Vermont so far. They just haven't taken advantage of it. Phils to Reynolds. Reynolds, ball knocked away, came back up with it. Copeland for three. That's a big three-point make by Alex Copeland. Stroking the guitar on the way back down. He's struggled from beyond the arc this season, shooting only 20% from deep.
And it's good to see some life back into that Yale offense. First basket of the second half.
Bell Haynes again to the rim, a little short. Atkinson swoops in. Copeland, guarded by Duncan. Atkinson, I think there was a piece of that. Lamb did get a finger on it, came up short. Lamb again, going right at Blake Reynolds. Oni fills the other way, fouled. Mie Oni, though, great help defense, coming over to reject Lamb's shot.
That's a momentum-changing block right there, and I'm a little shocked there that Yale won't have the free throws. Looked like that was a shot attempt. I think James Jones is a little confused about that as well. But
foul off the ball. It'll go against Payton Henson.
Yeah, so the really good play there for Yale. The block by Mie Oni stops Vermont from scoring, and then Yale comes back on the other end, drew a foul on the basket attempt. I'm a little surprised they're not getting a chance at the line, but then now two fouls drawn on this one possession for Yale.
Oni feeds Atkinson. Atkinson back to his left. Nice move.
And eventually they come away with 2 points, so these last 30 seconds could not have gone better for the Bulldogs.
Oni got a piece of it, thought maybe it had redirected off of Duncan, but it will stay with Vermont. After Vermont takes a 6-point lead, Bulldogs have climbed back into this one, down by 1.
Life is about moments. If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings. Do you have that real look in your eye that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quade?
See ya!
Right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it. Leave your mark on this world.
4 weekends of every fall, we take about 100 kids, put them on 2 buses, and we take them to 2 farms.
Our students, they have an ability to communicate and talk to the farmers firsthand.
I want them to think about agriculture as something more personal.
Anytime we could do any of these things that helps them think more about sustainability, it's really important to us.
We're back. Vermont has gotten some good looks against Yale in the second half, but haven't been able to take advantage of those, not shooting very well.
Now, plenty of looks for Vermont so far, but just 2 of 10 from the field to start this second half. So Yale doing a good enough job on defense to keep this game close.
Trey Bell-Haynes kicks it out. Three-pointer is good. That's Payton Henson. He has 13 points today to lead Vermont.
John, one thing that has really impressed me so far is Miaoni brought the ball up, as he has only committed 1 turnover so far, and we saw in the early schedule for non-conference he was averaging 6+ turnovers a game, and now a much tougher opponent in Vermont, and he is doing a much better job controlling the ball for Yale.
Great offensive rebound by Trey Fills, and then finishing through contact. Copeland got up in the air against Everett Duncan. Duncan then stepped into Copeland's path to draw the contact. I don't know if they're going to give him, I don't think that should be a shooting foul.
Well, it looked like the official pointed to the floor as Duncan left the ground, but he never made a move to actually shoot the ball. I think the defender coming at him almost surprised him as he took a look at his face before he drew that foul.
Lamb, good pass across the court to Duncan, Everett Duncan. Bell-Haynes using the screen, and it's a foul on Trey Fills, his 3rd. James Jones points to Azar Swain. He'll check into the game for Fills. It's been a tough afternoon for Trey Fills. He's got a really difficult defensive matchup going against the America East Player of the Year and Trey Bell-Haynes. And Vermont have made him work, putting him through a bunch of screens. Bell-Haynes short. Swain rebounds. Oni on the baseline, out of bounds. Turnover.
That's just trying to do too much for Miaoni. He is leading the team right now in points with 14. In fact, leading the game, but you don't have to do it all yourself. That's why you got 4 other guys out there with you.
Swain gets a tough defensive matchup against Bell-Haynes. Everett Duncan's 3 off the mark. And then a foul on the floor. Blake Reynolds. Lamb has been so tough to contain on the offensive end, going after offensive rebounds. He's got 7 total rebounds today. And then, of course, offensively, 12 points. 3 of those 7 rebounds have been offensive. And that should count as 1, Josh, because he did the work there to get Vermont another possession.
And that's now 3 fouls on Blake Reynolds, and you just saw Reynolds was in bad positioning under the basket there, arched his back and got called for it.
There he is, Lamb, going right at the Bulldog defense, 4-point lead. Oni to Copeland. Copeland has some space, nearly lost the handle. And before the shot, a foul, that'll be on Henson, his 2nd. Drew Urquhart and Cam Ward checking in. Ernie Duncan and Henson leave.
That was some great passing there by the Bulldogs. Unfortunately, a foul before the basket, but really working it across the entire floor there. Great offensive set.
Azar Swain at the free throw line. Copeland gets the mismatch. Lamb fouls him. Again, Vermont switched the screen, and that's where Copeland really has to take advantage of his quickness to get some looks. Does so there and earns a trip to the line.
Well, there were 39 total fouls committed when these two teams met last year, 20 for Yale, 19 for Vermont. So this is no stranger to both coaches to see a lot of free throws and just a lot of fouls called consecutively. We've had multiple possessions with multiple fouls on both sides.
Copeland makes them both. 2-point lead for Vermont. Bell Haynes picked up by the freshman Swain. They're looking for Urquhart underneath. No, Yates, good hands, and Copeland takes it away.
Great help defense.
To Swain, tosses it up to Oni! One-hander, and the foul.
John, look for this on top plays later tonight. What a slam by Mie Oni. Made it look easy, walked over to the crowd and hyped them up as well. Won't see a better dunk than that.
Sports Center top 10 nominee. Mie Oni, can he finish it at the line, the three-point play? We've gotten used to those, Josh. Last year, saw a number of great dunks. That one, I think, one of his best.
He completely jumped out of the gym there. No chance for the Vermont defender.
Steph Smith to Lamb. Lamb guarded by Atkinson. Lamb's been so good in the second half again. Somebody stop Anthony Lamb. Bulldogs just don't have an answer. Oni creates some space, three-pointer, just short. Cam Ward swoops in for the rebound, and now Vermont pushing the pace. Lamb, nice pass to Urquhart. That time the defense focuses on Lamb, and it works just as well for Vermont. They get an easy look.
Mie Oni had a chance to make this gym erupt, and unfortunately for him, he missed the three. Vermont took advantage of it, and now has a three-point lead.
Yates in the corner, short. Smith with the rebound. Lamb again underneath to Urquhart. Yates has to foul, but the Bulldog defense just not in position. But that's what happens, Josh, when you have a run like Anthony Lamb has had in the second half. Defense, every time you have the ball, starts to focus a little bit more on you, and again, back-to-back plays, Urquhart left alone underneath.
Yates, as a senior, I'm surprised he was so out of position there, as now he picks up his third foul.
Urquhart hits the free throw. A couple substitutions for both teams. Wyatt Yes and Eric Monroe in the game. For the Bulldogs, it's Payton Henson and Skylar Nash who enter for Vermont. Vermont has a 5-point lead. Monroe to Yes. Yes. Hands off to Oni. Oni going against the big Urquhart. Ball knocked loose. And it'll be Vermont basketball. James Jones and Mie Oni really unhappy with that call. Jones appealing to the official on the near side of the floor. But it will be Vermont basketball. Foul on the floor. And that'll bring us to the under 12 media timeout. Vermont leading 53-48. It's been back and forth in the second half, but Anthony Lamb doing everything for Vermont. He has 16 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple assists.
I wasn't born fast. It's taken 27 years of sore muscles, bruised knees, and a few close shaves. Speed is my mindset, my drive, my determination, the one goal I never stop chasing. There's awesome inside everyone, but it's up to you to unleash it.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it, what incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
Vermont leading Yale 53-48. Catamounts with the basketball. It's Cam Ward to inbounds. And Oni nearly comes away. He does get at the steal. Oni to the other end, fouled. And Mia Oni will go to the free throw line. Big defensive play. You could see that developing. They were trying to get into Urquhart. Oni read the pass and came over to knock it out of the senior's hands.
That's just the 5th steal by Yale so far this game. Great hands by Oni, as you said, and a great job to draw the contact and at least get a shot up so he can head to the line for 2.
Short on the first. Oni today, 17 points, 3 rebounds, a couple assists, a block, a steal, and 3 turnovers. Importantly, he's been a little bit more efficient, 50% from the field, 3 of 8 from beyond the arc. Cam Ward coming off the screen into the lane. Ward back out to Steph Smith. Smith to the corner, left alone, 3-pointer, misses, but it's Henson who follows and converts.
Yale has struggled with that all game, just getting in the right position to box out, and that could be their undoing in the latter stages.
Well, and particularly surprising, this is not a Vermont team that is known for getting a lot of offensive rebounds, and James Jones really prides his teams on solid defensive rebounding, so definitely a surprise how much success Vermont has had today on the offensive glass. Blake Reynolds comes back in, and James Jones maybe recognizing that has essentially 3 bigs on the floor. Noah Yates, Blake Reynolds, and Wyatt Yes.
Well, I'll have to see who gets aggressive for Yale down low, and a great start there for the Bulldogs.
Blake Reynolds to the left hand on the block. Steph Smith, the baseline. Good harassment by Swain. Cam Ward working against Monroe, up over the top, tough off-balance shot. Really 5 3-point shooters on the floor. Monroe will hoist one, hits. One-point game, 10:30 to play. Steph Smith, foot on the line, that's good. James Jones talking to Eric Monroe. Monroe will come back up, has 2 options for screens, uses the Reynolds screen. Reynolds. Cam Ward looking for to draw the offensive foul. Reynolds just went right through him. 6 points today for Blake Reynolds.
And Ward went down too easily there, just collapsed to the floor as soon as Reynolds turned around. Great no call and a good finish.
Skylar Nash takes it himself. And before the shot, I think there is a foul on the floor. It'll go against Noah Yates, his 4th foul. So Noah Yates in serious foul trouble. 6th team foul of the half. Again, the Bulldogs in danger of sending Vermont to the line for a large part of the rest of this game. Lamb gives it to Henson. No one picked up Henson, but good defense by Yes to challenge him at the rim, and now the Bulldogs have a 5-on-4. Monroe to the corner for Swain. His 3-pointer a little long. Everett Duncan in traffic, rebounds. Azar Swain against Bell Haynes. What a defensive game Azar Swain has had. Trey Phils playing with foul trouble, and the freshman Azar Swain has made Trey Bell Haynes' life difficult. Only 1 of 6 from the field, 4 points. He does have 6 assists, but it's been really fantastic defensive performance by the first year, and he gets some applause as he heads to the bench. Copeland and Oni back into the game. Anthony Lamb, 16 points, 7 rebounds. Today he's at the line. And misses the front end of the 1-and-1. Yes. To Monroe, goes back to his left. Good pass to the corner, Oni. Yes, Mie Oni. 21 points today.
Well, it doesn't matter which basket it is. It's that near side of the floor for Mie Oni continues to drain from distance.
Back to Lamb. Lamb spins, goes to the hoop. Anthony Lamb, what a game. 18 points today.
It's a tie ball game now, John, and I have a feeling it will continue to go back and forth right down to that final whistle.
Monroe to the opposite side. Copeland traveled. Now it'll be Copeland picking up Trey Bell Haynes. Lamb looking to get position on Reynolds. They feed it to him again. Double team comes with Yes. Lamb, though, can't be stopped. Draws the foul. Split the double team there. 8-team foul, second on Mie Oni.
Good job, though, with the double team. Wyatt Yes put up a great defensive stand there, but an even better job just to get through for Anthony Lamb to break through the two, and Yale got a well, after that first missed free throw, Yale definitely got the luck of the draw there after he missed the basket.
I was a little surprised, Josh, coming into this game. Obviously, Trey Bell Haynes, the reigning American East Player of the Year, and some of the media outlets out there actually picked Anthony Lamb as their preseason Player of the Year, just a sophomore, but you can see why. He has been nearly unstoppable today.
And Trey Bell Haynes doing the job behind the scenes with 7 assists so far, clearly leading both teams in that category.
Out of bounds, it will stay with the Bulldogs. Monroe to inbound from the corner. About 12 seconds on the shot clock. Yes, pump fakes going to the rim. His layoff for Reynolds intercepted.
Like to see that, though, off of or from Wyatt. Yes, he did that in the first half as well, and both times it's resulted in a turnover, so he's got to either clean that up or work on just getting more aggressive and taking it all the way to the hoop. Can't score if you don't shoot it.
Henson, 12 seconds on the shot clock. They'll give it back to Bell Haynes. Feeds it to Lamb. Lamb this time, the bank shot. Is there any way this guy can't score?
Yeah, exactly. A little kiss off the glass there. Just continues to be the offensive machine for Vermont this afternoon.
Monroe to Reynolds. Bulldogs trailing by 3. It's Oni. Misses. And Vermont, maybe with some numbers, Duncan takes it himself. Duncan to Duncan, and it's Everett who finishes.
You think those two have done that a fair amount of times between the two of them?
That's probably true, Josh. Go back to their high school days in Evansville. Copeland answers.
And the driveway, too. They've probably been working on that for 20 years.
Yep. .6:40 to play. It's Bell-Haynes again using the Lamb screen. This time tosses to Lamb. Good. A little bit late there by Wyatt, yes, but had to do something. Comes over to commit the foul, and they'll make Anthony Lamb earn it at the stripe. 3-point lead for Vermont. This one's been back and forth, end-to-end stuff. We'll be back in just a bit.
When I was a senior in high school applying to Yale, I didn't think there was much of a connection between an Ivy League university like Yale, for example, and the U.S. military.
The ROTC, which stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps, is a commissioning pipeline to the United States military. ROTC actually started at Yale in the 1920s. We want the same things, we have the same ideals, and that's specifically to build men and women of exemplary character for service, to be parts of organizations and make contributions greater than themselves.
The running of the Bulldogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico.
We first started doing Young Comer Market because we knew that our students were able to get these amazing fruits and vegetables, and we said, how can we get this out to the rest of the community?
You don't need to be super wealthy in order to have access to these type of products. We wanted actually to break even and just have democratized the concept of access to quality produce.
Vermont leading Yale 64-61. Anthony Lamb, the Catamounts' leading scorer. He has 21 points on 10 of 17 shooting. Mieoni, though, the answer at the other end. 21 points for him today on 50% shooting from the field. Lamb at the free throw line.
John, over these last 6.5 minutes of this game, I look for patience for Yale on the defensive end. They've already committed 20 fouls to equal last year's total against Vermont. And with 9 team fouls, they've got to be careful not to give Vermont 2 chances at the line every single foul going forward.
Lamb misses the front end of the 1-and-1. Second time he's done that. Atkinson has come back into the ball game. Quiet afternoon for him, only 1 of 2 from the field. Copeland tries the 3, misses.
And I don't want to see Yale settling for threes. There's still 6+ minutes to go. They don't have to tie the game with 1 shot. They can score, have a good defensive possession, and get the offense set.
Ernie Duncan feeds Lamb, guarded by Oni. Back to his right, foul. That's Oni's 3rd. A little different look there for Anthony Lamb with Mieoni on him. Didn't make much of a difference. He earns another trip to the line. 10 team fouls now for Yale. Vermont will shoot 2 free throws the rest of the way.
Lamb is listed at 6'6", 227, but he definitely plays bigger than that and might even be bigger than that, as there's really nobody on the Yale side that can just match up to him physically.
Yeah, Bulldogs really missing Jordan Bruner today. He's maybe the guy who would have had the best chance. Monroe gets it across the 10-second line and will initiate the offense. Copeland on the wing. Screen from Atkinson, looking back for Atkinson. Atkinson working against Lamb, blocked. Great offense at one end, good defense at the other, Anthony Lamb.
And if Atkinson hadn't taken that to the hoop, he would have been making a mistake.
Oni comes off a screen on the baseline. We'll give it back to Reynolds. Reynolds driving baseline. And offensive foul. Anthony Lamb draws it.
He's been unstoppable so far, drawing fouls, scoring, and he's getting ever so close to a double-double with 7 rebounds.
That was the 4th foul on Blake Reynolds. And so James Jones will go to his bench. Noah Yates also playing with 4 fouls, checks back in. And Trey Fills, after a long layoff, re-enters the game. He has 3 fouls. And Trey Fills will be matched up with Bell Haynes. Ernie Duncan to the corner for Everett. Back to Ernie. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Yale in a zone. Bell Haynes. Ball knocked away by Atkinson. Trey Fills. And it's a defensive foul. Fills will go to the line.
Vermont fans asking for a travel there. Good Euro step action, but Vermont defense collapsed and a good foul drawn.
And they will call it a shooting foul, so Fills will have 2 free throws.
John, Yale only has tomorrow off before it heads down to Delaware to face the Blue Hens, and I think that's something that, unless Yale has a complete day off tomorrow, that they'll really have to work on. Coach Jones is going to have to break down the film and work with his bigs on how to stay out of foul trouble late in these games. That's really what's costing them, as Lamb is having a field day.
Trey Fills, normally a very good free throw shooter, misses both. Back in the zone. Lamb gives it to Trey Bell Haynes. Bell Haynes over to Duncan. Duncan to Bell Haynes. Pass down low, taken by Henson. Yale trying something else, unable to stop Anthony Lamb. They've gone into a zone, but good ball movement by Vermont gets a look for Henson. Atkinson going right at Lamb. Oni, some space. Short. Big possession. Vermont 6-point lead. Henson left alone, short. Lamb's follow-up a little bit off the mark. And here comes Yale in transition. It's Oni to Fills, up and under. Is good.
Well, Vermont knows how to beat the zone. You do it right in between the restricted area and the free throw line. Couldn't get the roll, and the zone is something that it doesn't look like Yale practices too long at each practice, as not a whole lot of active hands right now to block off those passing lanes.
Lamb at Atkinson, short. Offensive rebound, though. Payton Henson, the senior, follows, and it's a 6-point Vermont lead. Copeland going at Trey Bell Haynes, spins, ball out of bounds. Vermont basketball. Copeland just lost it, and now a huge couple of minutes coming up. Vermont leading Yale 69-63.
Ready, Tim?
Let's do this. Was that Mike? That's Harry. The car stopped for me.
And that's automatic emergency braking.
The Nissan Rogue family. Take on today.
Bottom line, they still can't touch you.
I'll take it.
Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Just the guys that you get to meet, the opportunities that you have, meeting the kids on your team and meeting the faculty and the alumni that come back and support your team. It's just being a part of a tradition that's bigger than yourself.
You could look at it as like a ton of work, or you could look at it as like, I'm going to be a great person when I'm there. I'm going to be a great person when I'm done.
So I hope that in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, we actually have a test for concussions, that we will know when someone is concussed and when they're still suffering the effects of a concussion.
We have a unique opportunity to lead really the world in identifying ways to fix concussion.
Just to really set the gold standard and to be a pioneer for this.
Vermont up by 6, 3:32 left to play in regulation. On the court for the Bulldogs, it's Copeland, Phils, Oni, Yates, and Reynolds. Vermont has Anthony Lamb, Traybell Haynes, Ernie Duncan, Payton Henson, and Everett Duncan in the corner.
Saw those Anthony Lamb highlights, and he's got 22 points, 7 rebounds, 10 of 18 from the field. No outside shots, too, so he's just working the Bulldogs down low and success most of the time.
Lamb in the floor, loses it. Reynolds takes it away.
Except that time.
Copeland didn't have numbers, so slows things down. Phils driving baseline, his pass off of Everett Duncan and then off the back of the backboard. Couple substitutions. Copeland and Phils will leave the game. Monroe and Azar Swain check in. Both Yates and Reynolds playing with 4 fouls. Oni has 3. Traybell Haynes also playing with 3. Oni in the post, working against Everett Duncan, fouled. That's a different look.
Haven't really seen Oni put his back to the basket as he's been working those outside shots, taking a lot of threes too, John. 4 of 11 from downtown. But a good job there drawing the foul, and maybe Vermont hasn't seen that either on tape.
Oni sinks the first. 2:54 to play. Vermont in the double bonus. Yale, or Vermont has 8 fouls, so Yale still in the 1-and-1. And Yale going to show some full court pressure. Duncan gives it to Bell Haynes. Back over to Ernie Duncan. And they'll get it across the 10-second line, no problem. Traybell Haynes. Over the screen, into the lane, back to Duncan. Corner, Everett Duncan misses. Offensive rebound, Vermont. Fresh shot clock. Bell Haynes into the lane again. Back out to Lamb. No rush for Vermont. Time is on their side. Now about 10 seconds on the shot clock. Bell Haynes gets some space, puts one up. Friendly roll.
Well, it's been all Anthony Lamb for the last 15 minutes, so it's about time Traybell Haynes showed up, as he was the player of the year last year and had a great tournament down in the Bahamas.
Timeout Yale. 1:55 left to play. Vermont leading Yale 71-65.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it, what incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
When
when you're done at any Ivy League, you have so many opportunities waiting for you.
It's rewarding after these 4 years that you're going to have such a great job and these connections that you've made at all of these schools, and it's awesome. All around, it's awesome.
If you want the best combination of academics and athletics, Ivy League's your only choice. Only choice.
Less than 2 minutes to play. Vermont leading Yale by 6. Bulldogs basketball. Josh, what are you looking for coming out of this timeout?
Well, first of all, Yale needs to have a good inbound set play. Anyone who knows college basketball knows that is one of the most important aspects. Just ask Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics, former Butler coach.
Reynolds got a good look from 3, but misses.
And that was a great inbounds play for Yale, just a little off the mark. But now, more importantly, they have to lock down this 2-3 zone. There are holes. Yale got some lucky breaks the last few possessions with Vermont missing, and now it just needs to keep active hands, close down those passing lanes, and collapse for rebounds.
Duncan letting the shot clock wind down. Now Bell Haynes with 8 to play. To the corner, Ernie Duncan. Good pump fake. Hits! Huge basket. Is that the dagger? Vermont has a 9-point lead. Swain answers. The freshman, a huge shot from the corner. His second 3 of the day. And with a minute to play, Vermont has a 6-point lead. Yale fouls Ernie Duncan. And so Duncan will shoot 2 free throws.
Well, they were going to have to foul at some point. Maybe not the timing that James Jones wanted, as he's got a depleted look on his face, but Yale's going to have to hope Vermont misses and then get their chance to run another good offensive set.
Duncan's been good from the stripe this season, 9 of 10.
Bulldogs still have 2 timeouts, so there is more than enough time to get a play set as well.
Alex Copeland will come into the game. Monroe leaves. Copeland calling out directions from James Jones. Duncan hits them both. Timeout Vermont. .30-second timeout. 8-point lead. Yale today, Josh, really living and dying by the 3-point shot. 28 of their 51 attempts have been from deep, and they've made 32% of them.
And Vermont has just been way more efficient, 7 of 17 from behind the arc. So it's not ideal for Yale right now, being down 8 with 55 seconds to play. That obviously that goes without saying, but Yale has a lot to take away from this and a lot of positives as well. Vermont is not a cakewalk by any means. This is the toughest home game of the non-conference schedule for Yale. And outside of Wisconsin and Creighton, really the biggest test. Vermont went undefeated in conference play last year, NCAA tournament berth. So, and this team took Kentucky down to the wire. Yale has nothing to hang their heads over if this game does not end positively.
Vermont slowing things down with the full court pressure. Copeland now gets into the offense. Gives it to Reynolds. Reynolds back out to Copeland. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Copeland drive misses. And Trey Bell-Haynes across the half-court line takes it himself. Yates got a piece of it. And here's Oni with the basketball. Maybe not what Vermont wanted. Could have used some more shot clock there. Copeland in between hits.
Well, I think the Catamounts thought they were going to get a foul called on that a couple of times. Yale defenders just swinging their arms, and it's still a ball game. Yale will foul this time if they can't get the trap.
Bell-Haynes able to call the timeout before Yale wrapped him up. That I think leaves Vermont with one more timeout. Or no, that was their last timeout. 18 seconds to play. Bulldogs need to come up with a turnover or a quick foul and then hope.
Too much time came off on that first Vermont possession that they had, and Yale got a nice break there with a couple of blocks and no fouls called to come back and score on the other end, and even more so to get the trap in the far corner there, force Vermont to use that final timeout. So now if Yale can get another trap, they're in business. If not, they got a foul, hope for a missed free throw, and if the Bulldogs can't hit a three, then things are looking bleak.
James Jones drawing up his defense. As you mentioned, Josh, it's the toughest home game of the non-conference slate, potentially the toughest home game Yale will play all season, Ivy League games included. This is a very good Vermont team that we've seen today. Anthony Lamb, a sophomore, joins an experienced bunch. And this is a team that we expect to make some waves the rest of the season and potentially in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, 3 Catamounts in double figures. Trey Bell Haynes with 10 assists as well. So it's definitely a team performance by Vermont.
Anthony Lamb to inbound. Trey Bell Haynes actually be a pretty good guy to get the ball. He's not a great free throw shooter, but they're going to look for Ernie Duncan. Comes to Everett Duncan, and a quick whistle. Everett Duncan will go to the line.
Really, if you're going to get that trap off the inbounds, it's got to be on the same side of the floor as the inbounder is going to. So Yale had to foul in that situation, or it would have just been a quick break up the court and an easy layup.
Everett Duncan's only attempted 2 free throws all season, 1 of 2 from the line. And he misses the first.
Well, the right guy to foul then for the Bulldogs.
Hits the second, though. Yale needs a quick shot. 17 seconds to play. Copeland racing up the floor. Hands off to Reynolds. Reynolds blocked by Lamb. Lamb read that really well. Copeland was trying to create a little space for Blake Reynolds, but Lamb plowed right through. 10 seconds to play. Copeland looking for Oni. His three-pointer hits. With only 5 seconds left, though. Might be too little, too late for the Bulldogs.
James Jones with the quick timeout. Oni will not give up. He's got a game high now, 26 points. Ahead of Alex Copeland, and with 7 rebounds, Oni has had another tremendous game. What I really love about Oni's performance today is that he's really limited the turnovers.
Yeah, Oni, only 3 turnovers today, averaging 4 coming into the game. And has had a lot of the ball, too. As you said, 26 points on 8 of 16 shooting. Much, much more efficient day. Bulldogs here will set up, need to get a quick foul, ideally force a turnover, but then need a quick foul and hope for some missed free throws.
I think what's cost Yale today is just the settling for threes, as they've taken nearly twice as many as the Catamounts.
Lamb can run the baseline, looking for Ernie Duncan, gets it to him, and Duncan fouled. About a second ran off the clock.
Then again, to my point, John, it's been tough for Yale to work it inside with all the foul trouble that the Bigs have had. So I think that's the biggest improving point for the Bulldogs going into their next game down in Delaware, is making sure these Bigs are not committing so many early fouls to keep the options open for Yale. It's just like in football. If you can't get the run game going early, you have no play action to confuse the defense.
Ernie Duncan will be at the line to shoot a couple free throws. Honestly, missing a free throw, his second free throw, wouldn't be the worst thing. Yale's he's going to have to look to throw it down court just to save some time.
Yeah, Vermont has 3 defenders back behind the midcourt stripe anyways.
Duncan hits them both. Give it to Oni, 4 seconds to play. Oni over to Copeland. He'll try a 3, but that'll do it. Vermont comes into New Haven and walks away with a hard-fought 79-73 win. Anthony Lamb, the star of the game, 22 points, for the sophomore. 7 rebounds, a couple blocks, a steal, and making impact plays at both ends of the floor.
We knew this was going to be a coach's battle, and that's exactly what it came down to, a long embrace between James Jones at the end of this ball game with the head coach for Vermont, John Becker, and these two guys have really battled back and forth, and unfortunately for Yale, and a great job by Vermont to end up with the win.
You can see why this team is favorites in America East. Really solid performance, good defensive play, forced Yale into a number of tough three-point looks. Positives to take away for the Bulldogs, Josh, what have you got?
Well, they did a good job near the end of the game with creating shots. It was tough at the start with so many early fouls on the bigs, and if that didn't happen, this game I think would have been at least different down the stretch. You can't talk about the end result. Nobody knows how that would have happened, but Yale would have had many more opportunities to work the ball in down low. Great to see some of these freshmen continue to impress White. Yes, Azar Swain, 2 of the top 2 performers. Want to see a little bit more aggressive play from White. Yes, taking the ball all the way to the hoop, but nonetheless, a good job by Yale against a really tough opponent in Vermont.
Yeah, Miaoni getting back on the right track. Great game for him, 26 points, efficient day, shooting 50% from the field. And so some things to build on for the Bulldogs. We knew this was going to be a tough game. Vermont showed how good they are this season, a veteran-laden team that will make some noise the rest of the way. But the Bulldogs will not have to think about this game too long. They're back in action Monday night at Delaware before they return to the friendly confines of the John J. Lee Amphitheater Wednesday night for a game that will be on the Ivy League Network. That one tips off at 8 o'clock. Josh and I will be here to bring you coverage. But once again, folks, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Vermont beats Yale 79-73. You've watched this one on the Ivy League Network and ESPN3. Have a great afternoon, folks. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekends.